MB Timers, it is your friendly neighborhood INFP, and welcome back to a video that is going to be looking at over one of my favorite things of topic, which is the Fae. I love the Fae, not that I have like oodles and cadoodles of things of the Fae, which I don't. In fact, my area is quite limited of Fae nature. But yes, we are going to be looking at MBTI types as types of Fae, or types of as fairies, or types as whatever you want to call them, the fair folk, good neighbors, etc. I love Fae stories. I love the Fae. I could talk hours about them, and before I get distracted, it is only right that we jump into the video, starting off with the first one, which is the Leprechaun. So the Leprechaun I am giving to the INTJ because aside from its pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, which everybody knows the Leprechaun for, they do not know that leprechauns are in fact also some of the wealthiest among the fair folk, because apparently being a shoemaker is a lucrative trade. They're also ones who deal with stories that tell of the follies of trying to get rich quick. So if you're trying to get rich quick, Leprechaun is there to tell you the follies of that and how you should actually be focusing more on, you know, their future goals and working hard at them, rather than trying to perform get rich quick games, or trying to get rich, or trying to gamble to get rich, or whatever it is. Basically like trying to chase the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, which is almost impossible to reach. Now, if you do catch a leprechaun, they will give you 3 wishes, but be warned, those wishes are much like the same wishes that come from a genie, which it's really on you, like, be careful what you ask for, essentially. But yes, the Leprechaun gets the INTJ. Next up, we have the Pixie. One of the 2 fun-loving, really fun-loving types out there next to the Sprite, but we're talking about them later. The Pixie I am giving to the ENFP. These ones are your fun-loving, mischievous, good-natured, tricksy type fairies. They have a they apparently love various cloths, but that's not important. The important part is that they love tricking travelers. These are in fact the fairies who trick travelers to go astray, specifically children. And I believe these are also the ones that will kidnap children in order to cause a changeling to be put in their place. They are quite often seen as blessings to those who are fond of them. They are they reward consideration and they punish neglect. They love their ideas, they love their fun, they love their wit, they love their little games, and it seemed right to give them the ENFP because there's one better for the ESFP. Next up, we have the Brownie. These are your house spirits, the ones who take care of the home. These are the guys who will scrub the floor, or sweep the floor, or clean the dishes, help take care of the animals. They're very homey fairies. These, of course, the Brownies I'm giving to the ISFJ, obviously, and they are your very nice and calm, gentle-mannered Fae, but you should never, I'm just going to throw this out there, you should never try and pay a Fae for like anything, but you can gift a Fae with whatever. Just gift a Fae, don't pay a Fae. That's all you need to know. Never say to a Fae, here, I'm giving you this for all your work, because then you'll get cursed by the Fae. You might get a bunch of polka dots. Who knows? But yes, Brownies are house Fae, and they enjoy doing all that kind of stuff. Next up, we have the Dullahan, which is not a ghost like some people may believe. And no, it does not have a pumpkin at the top of its shoulder. That is a very select, ghostly type of creature. No, the Dullahan is like very similar. They are headless fairies. I'm going to assume part of the Unseelie Court. They are treated quite often as the Grim Reapers of the Fae world. I'm giving the Dullahan, if I haven't already said it, to the ISTJ. They have a duty to perform. They always perform that duty. They have a set way of going about things. And should you ever happen to look at a Dullahan, be prepared to be splashed by blood. It's just a thing they do. Just be warned, you also might go blind from it. It's a thing. But yes, they are harbingers of death, unlike the banshees, who are actual warners of death. I mean, I guess they could both be seen as harbingers, but like the Dullahan is literally coming to kill you. He's not there to warn somebody of somebody's death. He's there to claim somebody's demise. And who knows why they do what they do, but they do have an irrational fear of gold, and I think they're like the only fairy that has that. Next up, we have Queen Maeve. Queen Maeve used to be once the queen of all the Fae, or Queen Mab, if you want to call her that. She was the one who used to rule the Fae, and I'm giving her the ESTJ because she's like all about traditions, order, having people respect the Fae, and the Fae respect people, and have that kind of harmony go between them. But you know, her son like overthrew her, and now the Fae have kind of gone along the side of the wayside because Oberon's like, yeah, people don't really need us around, so we're just gonna let them forget about us, which she wasn't too happy with. And but when her son overthrew her and like the whole thing, she is literally now the queen. At least I think this is still the case. She is the queen of the Unseelie Court, which is kind of like where all the dark Fae go, the dark fairies, the fairies who aren't exactly the brightest or the nicest or the good-lookingest. But yeah, she leads that court, where Oberon and Titania lead the Seelie Court. Moving on, we have the Anjana. These are your nature / beauty Fae, very good-natured, very benevolent. They become one with beauty, they become one with nature. Sometimes I think they're the ones mistaken sometimes for dryads. They are part of the Cantabrian mythology. They are often foils to the cruel and ruthless. They are ones who you will often see with a crown of flowers around their head, and they're seen to be very beautiful. They're very serene, very loving. Their wings are very translucent and very beautiful, especially when the light reflects on them. Essentially because they're so at one with who they are as a creature, it just makes sense to give them to the ISFP, who seek to be one with whatever skill they're chasing after at the time. Moving on, we have I'm probably going to butcher this, the Bukura dheut, or Bukura dheut. Anyways, this one is quite often seen as malicious, but they can be good, and they can be very ready to help. They are one of the leaders of the underworld, or the underground. What you come to realize is that the Fae dwell in their own land, and sometimes that land is in like the underworld or the underground because of like a big fight that broke out. I don't know all the details. I haven't brushed up on my Celtic lore. You'll have to forgive me. But anyways, should you get a strand of her hair, which is usually golden, she will, usually be cunning and trickstery and try and get that back. But this, I'm also giving her the ESFJ because if you perform all of her tasks and do what she asks you to do, she will become your ever faithful wife. And I guess do wifely things in like the best Fae nature that a Fae can do. It seemed most fitting to be an ESFJ out of all the Fae, so yeah. Next up we have the how am I going to pronounce this? The Gwragedd. Why, Welsh? Why do you do this to me? Gwragedd Annwn. Gwragedd Annwn. Welsh. I'm just gonna call her the Annwn. It'll just be simple. I'll have a thing down below naming all the fairies anyways. I'm not gonna try and pronounce this madness. But this one is a water fairy. Who is very up on the medicinal natures of herbs and practices, and what medicinal practices are best, what medicinal herbs are best. Sometimes I believe they have like deep knowledge of alchemy or chemistry. They're kind of seen as a healer type Fae. But should they delve into the mortal world, their emotions are not like our human emotions, and rather they have odd sensibilities and contradictions. So, for example, they will laugh and sing at a funeral, cry and lament at a wedding. When a bunch of people are angry, they'll be calm. When a bunch of people are calm, they could be angry. They contradict the social norms going around. So it makes sense because of how emotionally they see themselves and are kind of considered the healers of the Fae world, to kind of give them the INFP, because we also have this very strict code of conduct, their own personal morality or oath, basically will not allow you to strike any of them if they decide to be your partner. Because if you do strike them needlessly, they will leave. That's it. And needlessly could just be like, if you don't approve of what they're doing, like if they're laughing and rejoicing at a funeral and you just like do that or like nudge them, they will consider that a hit. Like, they have such strong morals about what they consider to be what, that you won't necessarily know how to deal with it. And in the story, the guy didn't know how to deal with it, and thus he lost his fairy love, who, like, after like tapping her or hitting her, like, it's not like full out hits, it's just like, hey, don't do that, like, place your hand on your shoulder, like, smack your hand a little bit, like, hey, don't, like, you know, human sensibilities versus face sensibilities. Anyway, she ended up taking care of the kids, who became well-known doctors of the region, although he never really saw her again. Next up, we have the Sprite, the most, shall I say, energetic of all the Fae that I've seen. These guys love being in the moment. They love going towards interesting things. They love playing with butterflies. They love playing games. They love just a bunch of wide variety of things, like saucers of milk, games, things that interest them. They are very in the present, very fun-loving, very joyful, and the Sprites get ESFP, if that wasn't abundantly obvious. Next up, we have the Shellycoat. Now, the Shellycoats are Fae who are kind of like covered in shells. That's why they're called the Shellycoat. They're a Scottish Fae, and their purpose is essentially to trick and beguile adventurers or people, and even to get people to know their place. They are often content with the satisfaction of humiliating someone. The Shellycoat gets ENTP for that matter. They like using their wit, they like tricking people, they like putting people in their place, they like being mischievous, and they are a little bit similar to the Puka in that sense, but I guess not, like, they look different from the Puka. They usually their intents are never malicious, but they do, like most fairies, enjoy leading people astray and of course tricking and confusing them. But it's never in a malicious way. It's usually in a way of know your place, know who you are, learn from this lesson type deal. And if they can humiliate you in doing so, then all the better for them. Next up, we have somebody who is goes a little step further than the Shellycoat. They're a little bit more extreme with their mischief. Also not malicious, but very much extreme. And this is a close relative to the Leprechaun. This is the Darrig, or Darrig. They are other known as the Red Man. They're dressed from the top of the head, like their hat is red, all the way to the bottom is red. They will play macabre games with you, like very disturbing games. One of the favorite ones is to trick people with a dull, hollow laugh of a dead man, which he makes sound as if it's coming from the grave. Also known to give evil dreams, they love giving macabre tricks on people. If you want them to not do it, you'll have to say, don't mock me in Irish or Celtic, which I don't know how to pronounce. But usually it's so well planned out and hits so fast that you are too stunned to be able to do any of it. Like one of the main tricks that they love performing is inviting you to a house, a bog hut, and then roasting a hag skewered on a spit. And usually the people who encounter this usually faint, and then they wake up with a bunch of laughter coming from no distinguishable source. Now, this isn't a out of malicious intent. The Darrig do get ESTP because of how fast and all of that they hit and the enjoyment they get. And usually if you're able to go through their hazing, they'll bless you with luck, and Fae luck is just like amazing. So yeah, Darrig gets ESTP. Next up, we have the Domovoi. This is the guy why I couldn't put in Banshee in this video, because the Domovoi is the INFJ in this Fae video. They are also house spirits, house Fae, usually house owners before like the new owners move in. But the reason why I gave them INFJ is because they are known as oracles. Yes, I know I'm going with the stereotypes, so sue me. So depending on their behavior will depend on whether you're going to have good fortune or bad fortune, and whether or not somebody will die. So it will predict good fortune to come, bad fortune to come, or somebody's death. Those are some of it. Oh, and a wedding. Weddings, good fortune, bad fortune, and death. Those are their typical predictions. Next up, we have the Kate Sith, which I'm giving to the INTP simply because they enjoy games of riddles, they enjoy games of intelligence, they enjoy games that cause people to rethink what they know. They also enjoy catnip because they're a cat fae, obviously. Cats, catnip, that joke, I guess, is never going to go away. But like one of the things is to never bring them close to corpses, where corpses are, for some reason. I don't know. Oh yes, because they believe that they steal the souls of the dead, I guess. But yeah, because of their like riddle-like tendencies and like to get people to question whether or not something is as it seems, INTP. Next up, we have King Finvara. This guy is apparently known to be the first king of the Fae. He is also the king of the underworld, so to speak, because that's where the Fae went after they lost a battle way back in the beginning against the, what was it? Give me a second here. The Milesians. Well, like I said, I have not brushed up on my Celtic lore. I'm just going what I've chosen for the Fae. He is a kind of benevolent king. He's the one who negotiated the truce. He's the one who gave the Fae a place to live instead of leaving the world entirely. He's the one who placed the rules upon the Fae. He's the one who like looks over the Fae. He is, I believe, also above Oberon, because he's like the high king of the Fae, but he's not marked by the Seelie or Unseelie court. Of course, people more adverse in Celtic mythology could tell me a little bit more about this guy if they know more about this guy. But yes, he was the one who like allowed fairies to be respected and feared, and no new structure was built without first asking the fair folk for their assistance or guidance through his rule. Although this gradually fell out when Ireland became more Christian rather than Druidic. But anyways, next up we have the Blue Cap. This is the minor Fae, who helps miners, who upgrades miner gear if the miners are, you know, courteous with them and pay them their honest wages. They aren't really tricksy, but they are very individualistic. They keep to themselves, but they do still expect to be paid. And of course, they like upgrading minor gear here and there. So it made sense to give them ISTP because, you know, sometimes you have to stick with stereotypes in order to give Fae their proper place. And then lastly, we have the Aloja. This is a water woman of the Catalan tradition in Spain, who is known to guard the fate of human beings, also known to be a feminine fairy. They seem to be women with high self-esteem. They are good women who try to bring wealth and well-being to the areas they reside. They are teachers. Sometimes they are nocturnal creatures with shimmering gold and red hair. They have beautiful clothes and wear fine. Like, basically they're well-dressed. And they are known to teach you how to be good, help out with births, help out with, they are symbols of fertility and life, giving virtues of water, and they teach the virtues of that in turn. And it made sense to give the Aloja the ENFJ. And with that being said, that is the end of this video, and if you enjoyed it, please do like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye!